and we're just going to give you a little introduction to what it might be like here at college. So we're going to do a virtual little mini lesson here in my spare room at home. So what we're looking at today is taxonomy. So every living thing, whether it be bacteria, viruses, animals, plants, fungus, they all have a special order and they're listed, which is called taxonomy. So obviously the ones we're looking at today are obviously the animals. So animals roughly split into 6 groups. We're not really going to worry about fish because we've not got many at college, but mainly it's birds, reptiles, amphibians, invertebrates and reptiles, and your fish are on the end. So if we're looking at birds are characterised with all having beaks. They all have feathers and they all lay eggs, but not all can fly. They're a warm-blooded vertebrate, so they can control their own body temperature, and we've got quite a few at college. So this is a really big wide variety. So you can see your cockatoos and parrots and stuff like that, to your little tiny kiwi that is a ratite, same as your cassowary that you perhaps see with Steve Irwin and stuff, to waterfowl like our swans and geese and ducks, to birds of prey like our owls, hawks and falcons, and our soft bills, which are things like your robins, finches and things like that. So that's what they all have in common. Not all of them can fly because they don't need to, but they all have wings, so their forearms are modified into these wings, but they not necessarily use their wings for flying. Reptiles, is the other one. These guys, they're quite easy, they're not quite so diverse as the birds. They fit very nicely into, I think, 5 categories. So if you're confused, a lot of people do get confused with reptiles and amphibians. Reptiles, if they have legs, will have claws on their toes, on their feet. Amphibians, unless it's a clawed frog, won't. So that's roughly how to tell if you see a little newt, and you might wonder, is it a reptile or is it an amphibian? That's the way to tell. They normally have scaly skin, and they're what's called an ectothermic vertebrate. So it's got a backbone, but it relies on its environment to maintain its temperature, to keep warm, and get energy to move around and stuff like that, and digest its food. Don't have no hair, and obviously no feathers. So here are a few, and they slip into these 5 little orders. So we've got our lizard. This particular one is a very beautiful sailfin lizard, which I wish we'd got at college, but we haven't. But we have got lots of, we've got garden lizards, geckos, bearded dragons, things like that. Your chelonia, which are your tortoises and your terrapins. Again, that's another one that people get confused with, because turtles are semi-aquatic. They think they're amphibians, but they're not, because they've got claws on their feet, they've got the scales, so that indicates that they're a reptile. You've got your tuatara, which is in a class all on its own, which is a really close relative of some dinosaurs, which is a very cool creature. Our crocodilians, so your alligator, gharials, crocodiles, things like that. And then your snakes. So your snakes come in all different shapes and sizes. We have our venomous ones like the spitting cobra here. We have rear fangs, we have vipers, we have colubrids, we have boas and pythons. So reptiles are quite weird because some lay eggs and incubate them outside their body, and some incubate the eggs inside the body so they appear like they're giving birth to live ones. But that all depends, because they are a very nice group of animals. Our next one is invertebrates. This is the one which people don't kind of like very much. Hopefully, if you do come to college, you will have to handle these. So it's something you've got to sort of get used to and certainly try. And we will show you ways to help you out if you are nervous about that. Let us know and we can try and help you. One of my favourite groups of animals, to be fair. They have no bones whatsoever, so when we're feeding them, unless it's a snail or something like that, they don't need extra calcium because they've got no bones. So unless they've got a shell or a hard exoskeleton, we don't need that. Again, ectothermic, so they're relying on their environment. They're not an animal that lies in the full sunlight and basks like snakes and lizards do. They tend to just come out, and a lot of them are like nocturnal, and they get their heat when things have already warmed up during the whole of the day. These are some of the beasties that we have. Obviously we've got spiders, we've got tarantulas at college, and here scorpions. Solifuge we've not got, sadly, but the invertebrate class is massive. It's just absolutely huge, and there's just thousands and thousands of different species. It's very exciting. Millipedes on the far end, and then leaf insects, beetles, and praying mantis. Like I say, praying mantis is one of my favourites, certainly in the top 10 of my favourite animals, because they're so small but so brave and ballsy. They're an excellent little creature. So there's quite a variety. So if you do come to college, you're absolutely terrified of spiders, which a lot of people are, so don't beat yourself up about it. You might be able to work through it. You might surprise yourself once peer pressure kicks in and all your friends are having a go and oohing and ahhing and saying how cool this spider is. You might have a go yourself. You might surprise yourself. But if you're really terrified, you can always get someone to move it into an enclosure for you while you're cleaning out, and then you can still work around it. You don't have to touch it. But for the handling, we've got all these other ones that are perhaps not quite so scary, so you'll find something that you like, I'm sure. Mammals is another massive group, again very, very diverse. All mammals produce milk to feed their young, so we're mammals. We have mammograms. We breastfeed our children usually when we have them. If you look at puppies, foals and things like that, they all feed from their mother. So some will actually suckle from a teat, some will express milk through glands, and it's lapped up by the youngster. All mammals will have had or have had hair sometime in their life, even whales. If you look at whales and dolphins, they look very smooth. When they are babies, they do have this little tiny downy fur on them as well. They can control their body temperature regardless of their environment, and they've adapted to live in certain environments. If you look like walruses and seals that live right up north, sort of Canada way, where it's really, really cold, they're fat and blubbery to live in that environment. Where other animals, sort of like lions, they've evolved to be very pale coloured to reflect the sun, because they live in a warm environment. So again, and they've developed ways of losing heat either through sweat glands or through their pores. Beautiful variety. These are just a kind of a little few. So we've got our hoofstock, which are these two. So they're called ungulates, and they split up into two categories, whether they've got odd hooves or even hooves. So anything with a cloven hoof like a giraffe is an artiodactyl. Anything with a single hoof like a rhino, or an odd number of hoofs, it might have 3 toes rather than 1, like there's the zebra, they're perissodactyls. But again, it evolved very, very quick. All of these, apart from the sloth, and I've not got a manatee on there, all of them have 7 neck vertebrae. So it's another very common thing in mammals. So this giraffe has the same amount of neck vertebrae as this zebra. They're just bigger and longer for the sheer size of its neck. Again, this is evolved for eating leaves out of the tree, so it's growing tall to grasp the leaves. The zebra is a grazer, so that's built lower to the ground. It's built for eating grass. Duck-billed platypus is nice, little odd one. It's called a monotreme, which is an egg-laying mammal. So it'll suckle its young, just like the rest of the mammals, but it won't give birth to a live baby. It lays an egg. Whales, so your cetacean mammals, they're animals that live all their life in the sea. So not like a sea lion that comes in and out, it just remains totally in the sea. So your whales and your dolphins, porpoises, things like that. Your chiropodata, they're your bats, your flying mammals, which you might get lucky enough to see sometimes. I think around here they just come out of hibernation, and we see the odd long-eared bat or pipistrelle bat quite near here. Excuse me. Far right over there we've got a kangaroo, so they're the marsupial family, so they're animals with pouch. So you like your possums, koala bears, they have this pouch where the teats are inside, and they're young. They're normally born at a very early stage, so literally about a 3-week pregnancy. You've got this embryonic looking baby, which then goes into the pouch, attaches onto the teat, and it grows for several months in the pouch. If ever we do a dissection and we get hold of a marsupial, they are fascinating to get inside and look at the plumbing, particularly the reproductive system. They're a very cool animal. Then we've got our primates. So, like this little Siamang here. So primates, mainly, you can tell a primate, they're very intelligent and they can normally grasp thumb and forefinger if they've got a thumb. So that's things like your tarsiers, lemurs, gorillas, chimps, things like that, great apes, lorises, very dexterous little hands to get in, and normally quite smart. Then you've got your insectivores. So the diet of these is predominantly insects, as the name suggests. So that's things like your shrews, hedgehogs that we have in this country. Ones that we haven't got here are on rodents, so that is your things like your capybaras and your hamsters. So they've got these flat gnawing teeth like beavers, and they chew a lot. And then you've got your edentates that lack either all their teeth or their front teeth. So that's like your anteaters, pangolins, things like that. And then you've got your Zencata, which is your sloth. The sloth used to be an edentate, but that's been reclassified. So again, this is this really weird thing that hangs upside down. It amalgamates algae on its fur to camouflage. Very slow metabolism. They can move pretty quick when they need to. I've seen two males put in together by mistake, and they can be quite speedy. But generally they're very slow and laborious with everything they do. So eating, mating, walking, climbing are quite slow. Amphibians is our next one. These are another one. They're cold-blooded animals. Again, they need their temperature to rely on their environment. So baking hot sun does these things no favours whatsoever. So if you've got these, you have to heat them very gently, either by a fish tank heater or a heater pad, where it's a very gentle radiating heat rather than a glaring heat lamp, because these are, they do live on land in the water. Their skin is very porous, very delicate. So if you're handling these, you must wet your hands first. Make sure you've got no hand cream or anything, or sugar or salt if you've been eating crisps, because you'll damage their skin. It is very delicate. And these are some of our beasties. So again, all of them fit quite nicely into these sort of 5 groups. So we've got our frogs and our toads, our axolotls, which we used to have, caecilians, salamanders and newts. Now the cool thing is with the axolotls, they are just a neonatal form of a salamander. If you give these the right hormone at the right developmental stage in their life, they will metamorphosize into a salamander. But because these are quite cool just as they are, and they can breed in this state, very often we keep them in this state, and then they're really nice. So have a little look at this Kahoot. So if you pop onto this link here, there's a little quiz for you, so have a little go at that, see how you get on. And then think about what animals really float your boat. I like a variety of animals. I'm a big fan of lions, big fan of giraffes, praying mantids, kestrels are another one. I've got quite a wide variety that I get quite excited about. But my all-time favourite when I worked in the zoo, and I've been very fortunate and worked with a lot of different animals in the zoos, this one was one of my favourites. They're quite an antisocial creature. They're quite grumpy, they're difficult to manage, and they're difficult to replicate their diet in captivity. So not many places have them. If you are up at Edinburgh Zoo, that they have a few, and Hamerton, but definitely a very cool creature. So these are some of the ones that I've worked with. It's of the hyena family, but it's not got the big crushing jaws. It's adapted, it's a lot smaller, it's adapted, you can see the tongue, it's very long, it's spatula shaped, and it has these huge round papillae on it, which are sticky, the saliva is sticky, and then the digastric muscle, which is your muscle that runs under your jaw here, it's really big on these, so it enables them to open and shut their jaws really quickly. Because when you think, this animal, it's around about the size of a Springer Spaniel, that's got to eat termites to survive. So that needs to eat millions and millions in a night just to stay alive. So that's how that's adapted. You've got this long, it's not a prehensile tongue that sort of probes in nooks and crannies. It literally just sweeps the termites into the mouth. So it's got these very funky long claws, rip the termite mound open, and then it'll literally lap the termites up, almost like a sweeping action, and it'll just sweep all these into its mouth and eat it. So the termites are really, really protein rich. So it's very, very good for it. But it does, with this massive digastric muscle, it allows that mouth to open and close very, very rapidly so it can get more in. And as you can see, the babies are adorable. This is one animal I would love, even though they're grumpy, I would love to have. So, what's your fabulous animal? What really floats your boat? What gets you excited in the animal kingdom? Pop into this www.menti.com and type in the code 837750, and there's a screen, a bit like a Facebook, Twitter feed on there. Write in what your fabulous animal is and why you like it so much, what makes it so special. So that's it in a little bit bigger writing in case you can't see. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you get to college soon and stay safe out there. Bye.